Hello Internet and welcome to this day in history for the 19th of November. Where are we today? Well, we go back 75 years to a rather unassuming valley field just south of a rather unassuming railroad town in southern Pennsylvania. We are of course in Gettysburg in 1863, where Abraham Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address, possibly, I would perhaps even go so far as to say probably, the single most famous speech any American president has ever made, which is of course why it's often surprising to people that it was about 290 words and lasted less than 3 minutes to make. I will not, of course, cite the speech here. Anyone can go look it up. It is an amazing piece of oratory, and despite the urban legend that Lincoln basically ran it out simply from sudden inspiration, he had in fact been working quite hard on it for some time and had at least been spending all of the previous day in his hotel room furiously editing and rewriting it. Gettysburg, as most people would know, is of course the most famous battle of the American Civil War and is often considered the turning point of the Civil War, when the Union numbers and far greater economic and industrial capacity finally started to take its toll on the South after the Army of Northern Virginia under Robert E. Lee had been repulsed in its repeated attacks on the heights just south of Gettysburg by the Union Army of the Potomac. In fact, in my opinion, the much greater battle, almost the same time in fact, was at Vicksburg on the Mississippi, where Ulysses Grant cut the Confederacy in two on, well, basically the same day. However, we are now a couple of months later, as you can imagine, since the Battle of Gettysburg was on the 1st to 3rd of July, and Lincoln had arrived with several other dignitaries to help dedicate this new graveyard for the Union dead, and there had been a lot of Union dead. Lincoln's speech was not actually meant to be the primary event of the day. That honor fell to the Honorable Edward Everett, a remarkable and successful political character in his own right, having been a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate. He was governor of Massachusetts. He was ambassador to Britain. He was a very successful political figure in his own right, and he held a 2-hour speech called The Battle of Gettysburg, which was full of high-flying rhetorics and great exhortations to continue the war until won, in order to not disgrace those honorable dead that they were now going to inter in the cemetery. And the speech was incredibly well received. So when Lincoln, who was supposed to be second banana of the day, so to speak, stepped up and delivered his rather short speech, it was well received by the crowd that was in attendance, but it wasn't until it arrived in the newspapers, being of such clarity and eloquence, that people were moved to great emotional length by just how perfect the speech was made. In less than 10 sentences, Lincoln delivered what might have been the single greatest piece of political oratory in American history, and considering the amount of American speakers which have been quite high and who have had quite a bit of skill, that is in fact a rather magnificent achievement. I will again ask you to go read the speech yourself. It is amazing, and I will of course, as always, wish that you remember and hold dear in your hearts those who died on this and other battlefields during the Civil War, and one can say every other bit of war. I could only wish that every war that has been fought would have had eulogies as clear, concise, and heartfelt as the one Lincoln delivered on the 19th of November 1863. But, well, I hope this has been of interest to you. This day in history for the 19th of November, the dedication of the Civil War Memorial Cemetery of Gettysburg and the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. Until next time, I have been the Sage, and I wish you all a very happy day.